All right. So I am working on, for some reason, to be um, wanting my camera to be used. So I'm trying to figure out what's using my camera here. So bear with me just a second. So if you can hear me, let me know that you can hear me. Let's see what is. All right. So let's see if that will do the trick. Can hear you. Okay, Jeff, thank you. Um, so let's see if we can get the. There we go. Hot damn. All right. So we're back on. I think you can all hear me. Let me know what questions you've got. I apologize. I am not a technical wizard. This is stuff that I'm still figuring out a little bit, but if you've got some questions, go ahead and fire them out there. Um, and and I will do my best to answer with something that's valuable. So go ahead. I know we were starting to get a decent number of folks on. So if you just joined us or rejoined us, go ahead and put your question in the chat box, and we will restart this thing here. So, but as we're starting, I'll talk a little bit about IBEX. This is the event that I went to down in Tampa, Florida, which was the first time being at that event. I've been to a whole bunch of industry events, but this was the first International Boat Builder Expo was the name of it, and it is the place where all of the manufacturers go to buy their stuff that they need to build their boat. So the engine manufacturers are there, the electronics, Garmin, um, Simrad, uh, Hummingbird were all there, as well as the windshield manufacturers. TaylorMade was there, the resin, the upholstery. I mean, they had the thread. The thread guy was there, And what's interesting in the boating world is that there are only a handful of manufacturers, so upholstery manufacturers. If you don't build your own upholstery in house, like some manufacturers do, there's only three or four marine grade upholstery manufacturers, suppliers that are out there that are in the market right now. It's something that is is there's not dozens and dozens of manufacturers, and that was really interesting for me to see. You had There were probably, oh, 8 of the C deck kind of foam manufacturers, that new flooring that they're putting out. There were more of those than there were regular upholstery manufacturers. Which was, I found that very interesting. All the major Indian manufacturers were there. I was able to fortunately get contacts for like Honda Marine, all the major ones. So Mercury, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, um, uh, Tohatsu, Volvo, and Mercruiser. So now I've got a relationship with somebody, and most of them I actually talked with the people that, as I'm doing these videos, I can check in with their technical department. Matter of fact, the Honda guy gave me their product information guide. It's their pig, is what they call it, but it's got all of the specs for every engine. This is what they create for the sales teams to reference when, hey, okay, we've got the Bigfoot Honda 100, and now I can go and I can check the actual specs and get all that information, which I was happy to make those connections. But also, I've got some interviews set up with. There was a guy from a major fiberglass manufacturer that he was the VP of customer support, and what was his title? But a vice president at, I'll just Regal, was the manufacturer, and he was going to set me up with one of their builders, so I could do an interview talking about the actual build process of boats. And I've done some of those videos, but actually get somebody that's doing it day in and day out. And hey, guys, if you've got questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I lost all of the chats that we had in the previous one, that my internet kind of crapped out on me. So feel free to just type in the chat with any questions that you have as I'm talking about this. But it was here we go. Here is his vice president, materials and customer support. So this guy is you know buying all their product, and he was heading off to a meeting after I talked to him, to go buy whatever it is that they were buying, wiring harnesses, all of the stuff. It was pretty interesting. So, all right, here we go. So look for some videos coming out on that. I was able to demo an electric outboard, a 180 electric outboard, the Ox Diesel 300 outboards, twin 300s, which was that was a great demo. I ran the Hydrofin, a 26-foot Harris pontoon with the Hydrofin with the 150, which was there's a video to come there, as well as Seakeeper. Went out of the Seakeeper boat. There was one other one, I forget who it was, but which was great to go out in the Tampa Bay area and check that all out. Okay, so Silver Stranger. So I just got a brand new 2021 Bayliner. Love the boat. Put 20 down. Doesn't let me get into the shallow water, so I can only really fish. Um, Silver Stranger, tell me what you're saying. You It doesn't let you get into the shallow water, so I can't really fish. Is that what you're saying? Um, what should I do? So, you know, here's a couple of things to think about. is if that boat isn't going to accomplish what you want to accomplish, you're in a very unique situation right now, Silver Stranger, is the demand is outstripping the supply in most market areas. So you put some money down. My gut tells me you could sell it for real close to the price that you paid. Maybe now I think this is changing a little bit. If you waited until what part of the country are you in, Silver Stranger? Are you are you just tell me what state you're in, or where you do your boating, because in some markets, I would say right now, you're in a difficult situation if you say, "Hey, this isn't the right boat for me. I need a shallower draft." And I think that's what you meant to say is I can't really fish. What should I do? So one is you can sell it. And in this market, you might be able to sell it for real close to what you paid for it. Maybe even deep V, flat bottom, South Texas. Okay, so in South Texas, you're still in season. You may be able to sell it now. Put it out on Facebook and just say, "Hey, it doesn't get into the skinny water that I want to boat in. It's um, too big of a draft, too deep of a draft, and too much of a V, too much dead rise in my V hull, and I can't get into the skinny water that I want to get into. So I'm gonna list this boat for sale. I paid 47,000, whatever you paid for it, and I'll sell it for that price, or maybe try to make a little bit of money. I would say right now in this time of the market, you're probably going to be able to sell it for what you paid, probably a little bit less though. If you are, if you wait and you say, "Hey, I know the manufacturers are still having some issues getting supply in. Bayliner, they've got the advantage. I don't think they've been hit as hard because they've got the advantage of being uh, having major suppliers that are supplying multiple brands, and so I don't know that you have the same supply issues up and down through the Brunswick organization. But if it's not the right boat, list it for sale and say, "All right, I'm willing to take a $2,000, $5,000 hit, and if I can get that for it, I'll let it go, and I'll look to get a flats boat," which sounds like for your style of fishing may be a better option, a bay boat, something with less dead rise that's going to have a shallower draft, and that will be listed on every manufacturer site, and you can see what you're going to be able to get in. So hopefully that helps you out, Silver Stranger. Um, Ronnie, I was thinking of buying a hybrid bay boat. What name should I be looking for? Which one should I stay away from? Ronnie, I need more. I did a video on center consoles that a couple months ago, something like that. you know, I don't know what your price point is. I don't know if you're looking new or used. So, Ronnie Eubanks, give me some of that information. Are you thinking new? What size are you thinking? And here's the question that I ask in the First Time Boat Buyers Academy. I ask, what kind of car do you drive? And the reason I ask you that is because if you're somebody that is gonna, "Hey, I drive a Toyota Camry," if that's the case, then you're gonna be happy in a value to a mid-level boat. If you say, "Hey, we drive nothing but Land Rovers and Mercedes," okay, then you're probably gonna want to move up to that higher premium tier, and then your budget's got to support that as well. So those are some things that I would think about. There's, I don't think there's a bad boat that I would stay away from where, oh, it's going to be a disaster. Just like Silver Strangers Bayliner Trophy. Hey, that's an outstanding boat for the right person, but it's not the right boat for him. The build quality, yeah, there are boats that are built better, no doubt about it, but the price also goes up a ton, and that budget matters as well. So, Ronnie, if you wanna give me a little bit more on your situation. Okay, yeah, so you drive a Tundra. I have had a Tundra. It's a great truck, but, you know, it's just a good solid truck. So that in my mind puts you in that mid tier to maybe that mid upper tier where it's not necessarily about the luxury, and then it's about, okay, what type of 50 to 75K, what size, Ronnie, what length are you looking at in that hybrid? You know, I and again, that hybrid is sort of a made up category, that it's not quite a flats boat. It's not our bay boat. It's not quite a offshore setup. So I think there's a lot of options for you. I would recommend watching that video. And then, Ronnie, the other thing that I think is key, especially if you're looking to buy new 21 to 24 foot. So yeah, it's you're going to be hard pressed to get a 24 footer for 75K if you're going new. So the other thing that I would suggest is, hey, what what's the dealer relationship? Where are they located? Do I get a good vibe from not just the salesperson, but I always recommend, I talk about this in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, as we dive deep into the 7 savvy steps to buy a boat, is where are they located? Talk to the salesperson, but then talk to the general manager or the owner, and talk to the service manager. That's going to be a big one. Is if you're buying new, because that warranty relationship and that service relationship is going to have a big impact on how happy you are long term. If you're going used, and I think based on your size range and your price ranges, you may need to go a couple years used to get something, and then it's a matter of how well has it been taken care of. I always say a 3-year-old boat, if something's going to break on it, it's probably already broken if it's going to break because it was cheap. And then it's a matter of how well did they take care of it. And now it's less about the brand. It's still, you can still do the category of luxury, mid tier, value. You find that category and you stick within that. But then it's about how well do they take care of the motor? How well do they take care of all the pumps and the live wells? And how well do they take care of the boat overall? So hopefully that helps you, Ronnie. And maybe not the answer you're looking for, but I think that will get you on the right track anyway. And definitely go check out my center console, the best and worst center consoles. I think that will be valuable for you. So there was, hang on, there was something else here. Yes, Foxmouth. I did see the vacuum. They actually had a couple of resin companies that were manufacturing, doing the closed molding, the closed system, the vacuum systems, with small parts. So you could sub out your small parts. So think hatches, think smaller components that you're going to put into the build, not the whole necessarily, but they actually were doing demonstrations, which I've seen videos. I've seen it done in one factory, but I've never been to like the Glastron factory where they use that vacuum system to get a even distribution of the resins through the fiberglass, and a more, I'll say, consistency with their holes from hole number 1 to hole number 1,000. So that was kind of interesting. All right, so really hard at boats. My heart set on Sea Hunt. Problem is, no one sells them where I live. You know, Sea Hunt does a great job. They're built within an hour from me, and but there's other manufacturers that build just as good of boats. And I think you're going to be much happier 2 years down the line after you write that check if you buy a boat from a dealer that you have a good relationship that supports that brand. So I'm assuming you're looking new. If you say there's no one sells them near where you live, If that's the case, find a similar manufacturer. And again, go to my center console video. There's several of them that I inspected in that category: Scout, Sportsman. I think Sea Hunt is probably on the higher mid tier, but still in the mid tier. Key West is probably in there in that middle level. Find one of those manufacturers with a dealer that you click with the dealer that you could see yourself having a good relationship, because guaranteed there's going to be warranty issues. It's just a matter of reality in the way boats are made, very handmade, very much um, individuals that are going to make mistakes. Unfortunately, it's just it's a part of the industry. So that let's see, the Ultra, yeah, that Ultra 234. I think I inspected one of those in person. I would say that you are going to be much happier. You are going to be much happier if you buy a brand that has a local dealer that you can drive to. Because what happens is you have a warranty claim that's a pain in the butt. Something breaks on the seat, something's not working with your live well system, electronic issue, electrical issue, which is the worst. You're going to have to take your boat to them. And if you've got to drive 500 miles to get to the 200 miles, 300 miles, that inconvenience is going to just frustrate the crap out of you. And I think you'll be happier finding a similar brand in that same category that, and again, this is what I learned from IBEX is most of them are using the same suppliers. So they're getting their cleats and they're getting their hardware and their resins and their fiberglass from the same places, and they're using the same methods. It's there certainly are some differences in the workmanship quality and the training of the labor and the longevity of their staff. It's not significant. You'll see it on my channel. You'll see a guy that says, "Oh yeah, I worked at Whaler and I've been at Everglades." And they're using the same people because they're several boat manufacturers. I mean, you go to Columbia, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and there's probably 8 center console manufacturers there. And I promise you that the staff there's a lot of it that are long term, but they're also, work here and then they go over here, they get a pay raise, and they go where they're going to make the most money. Okay. All right. Yeah, Ronnie, there's a ton of stuff there. I try to answer all of the comments. Doesn't always happen, but I do. So if you put a comment in there, I'll likely see it. Yeah, it's the problem with that production process is it is expensive with capital to get it started, and it is Mark. Thank you. Yeah, we've talked about Mark was on the podcast, and we talked about his Harris and what the Solstice. I think Solstice with a 250. I think that's right, or a 350. No, it was a 350, wasn't it, Mark? I don't want to get that wrong, but yeah, there is a lot of buying a new boat. It's like buying an RV these days. Yeah, so 300. Okay, I didn't want to shortchange you. Didn't want to shortchange you on your horsepower there, Mark. And I appreciate you commenting about your experience with the best boat captain on the water training that that he took advantage of several months ago after owning his boat for a while. So I appreciate your comments, and I'm glad you had a great experience with that. So, all right, let's see. I feel like I missed some. Also, don't have a relationship with any dealers. I'm in Spartanburg. Okay, if Jonathan McHenry, let me see, and Hux, I'll come back to you. I just saw yours. I don't have a relationship with any dealers. I'm in Spartanburg. Let me see if I. Okay, there we go. Colombia, 84 hours, 120 debating on ordering new boat for same price, worried about inflation, supply constraints. Yeah, it is. I think we're still, and I heard some of these conversations, Jonathan. I heard some of these conversations in IBEX about, hey, we're ordering these parts, we're ordering this hardware, we're ordering this stuff, the resins. Um, how likely are we to get it? Are you seeing supply chain issues? And they're salespeople at a trade show. They're trying to get the contract, but they were still those conversations are still happening, and manufacturers are still having issues, and the suppliers are having issues. So you're making resin, you've got to get the chemicals to create that your recipe for your resin. You're building seats, you've got to get the raw materials to get the rotomold plastic in, and to get the foam, and to get the springs and all that. So I think there's a chance, Jonathan, if you were to order a boat, that yeah, you could have a longer time getting it than what they initially quote. I think that's getting better and better. I think most of that's worked out, but I've heard from folks on the West Coast that there's still container ships that are stacked up waiting to get in port, and they're waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to get in, and those containers are filled with Yamahas and Suzukis, and they're filled with the parts. They're filled with the hardware that's coming from China. So I think that's still an issue. I think most of the manufacturers they started raising their prices on 2022 models in where did my calendar go? In July timeframe is when I first started hearing it, where they weren't giving pricing, and then by August they were actually quoting prices. So you could have a little bit of an inflation. If you can find a pre-owned one that is in good shape, 84 hours. If it's in Colombia, maybe it was a freshwater boat. That's not a bad thing. If you're looking pre-owned, let me go to your other comment. And Hux 2012. I'm still coming to you here. Um, don't have a relationship with any. So you're in Colombia. You're looking at the used boat in Colombia. You're in Spartanburg. I'm certain that there is a dealer in Spartanburg that, and it's probably got a Yamaha on the back of it. And depending on, do you say what year that is? Jonathan, what year is that? I don't think he said that. What year is that used sea hunt that you're looking at? Because it may be out of warranty, and then the dealer relationship isn't as important. And now my biggest relationship concern is my technician. And that could be, if you're buying the boat in Colombia, and in used, it changes a little bit. So used, now I'm most concerned about who's going to work on my motor, who's going to work on that. And can they, if you've got a system like that, who's going to work on my live wells if I have issues? And so now I can find a mobile mechanic that is going to be, consistent, is going to be reliable, is going to have expertise with Yamahas, which again is what I assume is on that boat. So, okay, yeah, Yamaha 300. So, you're going to be able to find a good quality Yamaha technician, whether it's at the Sea Hunt dealership, who I don't know who the Spartanburg Sea Hunt dealer is, but heck, they're made a stone's throw away from Columbia. They're crap right by the university. So I guarantee you there is a Sea Hunt dealer in Spartanburg, which isn't too far away. And there's certainly a mobile Yamaha technician that you can Wolfen, thank you very much. Um, so I'll get Wolf, and I'll get to you right here and now. There, there is. You can actually contribute contribute to what I'm doing here. Kind of support the channel. Somehow you do it on. I've never attended a live to do it, but you can certainly do it. So all right. Wolfan, we got cut off on the last live. I was having technical difficulties. So let me read this here. All right. 260 to answer. sitting for 4 years. Seller says engine has low hours, changing all the lines, have it ready to sell. So I'm concerned about these things, and I talk about it in a couple of my videos. One is all of the oil has drained out of that. And Wolfen, tell me, are you freshwater? Are you saltwater? So where are you located? And where was this boat put away? And who put it away? Because here's my concerns. All the oil drains out, the gear oil drains out. Now all those metal parts are unprotected. If you're in salt water, especially, now there's the chance that you get some salt in there. The corrosion starts happening, and things start seizing up. Jonathan, thank you very much. I appreciate that for sure. So that starts happening. That's one concern. You've got to change the oil, the gear lube, and the impeller. That's just, don't even start that thing up, or run that thing without doing those couple of things. Now my fuel has been sitting for 4 years. Well, if it has any ethanol in it, it's got water like crazy. Even if it's straight gasoline, the octane drops over time. So now my octane has gotten bad. And then my question is, what did they do to put it away? So it's on the trailer, been used in salt water. So now, did they flush it extremely well before they put it away? Did they use Salt Away, who was down at IBEX? And I talked to them. They've got a product that kind of takes away the stickiness to the salt, as layman's terms, and so it flushes out real easy. If they didn't flush it, the last couple times they put away, and now there was salt in there. Well, now there's corrosion going on the the risers and the manifolds, and that could be problematic. That's a $5,000 to $7,000 repair on a single engine. That 260, it probably doesn't have a generator. There was very few of those 260s that had gens. The generator has the same issue. So now, because it's got bad gas in it, if I'm going to start it, I've got to drain all that gas out, which can be expensive, and expose of that in a proper, ethical way, not just run it down the gutter, but a marina will suck it out for you. Now I got to put fresh gas in it. I've got to worry about, did they use ethanol? Did they flush it well, or did they not flush it well? Did they winterize it when they put it away? Depending on where you are in the saltwater environment, did they winterize it properly? So now it's sat, all the oil's drained out. Maybe they flushed it, maybe they didn't. We don't know. And until you start taking it apart, you won't know. You can look in the engine compartment. We talk about in the First Time Boat Buyers Academy. You can look in that engine compartment and really get on your head and crawl down there and look under and see, is there rust and corrosion? Does it look like they did a good job of maintaining the boat? It gives me a little bit more confidence. But if they didn't winterize it and it just sat, and I don't know what year this is, but if it's fuel injected, or if it's fuel injected, or if it's a carburetor, now there's other issues. If it's a carbureted engine, you got to rebuild the carburetor, and it's probably all gummed up in the fuel line. So unless they're going to let you really go through that, and you feel like you have the confidence and you have the skills to do that, you know, you're susceptible to a catastrophic loss. Yeah, it's a 2004, so now that could have a carbureted, instead of a MPI or an EFI, electronic fuel injection or multi-port injection. That '04 could very well be a carbureted engine, which has other issues. And now it's 17 years old. It sat for 4 years, and it's got low hours, which tells me they didn't even use it when they were using it. And that is problematic. An engine is meant to run. When they run, they get exercised. On the cruisers especially, now you've got bilge pumps that are going to need to be replaced because they probably have stopped working. Again, they need to be exercised. Moving parts need to move, otherwise they get stuck and they seize. You know, all I don't know about the smell. Again, if it's musty and damp in there, well, that stink is going to stay around for a while, and you've got to address that. So I would be very, 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 very cautious. Um, um, I will ask. It's hard, yeah, hard to know the reality. You're exactly right, Wolf End. If I get it, just take it to the shop, let them know 4 years not used. Yeah, but be ready for a bunch of little ticky tacky things. So here's what will happen, Wolf End, is you'll say it's running rough, or you know, and I would highly recommend against this of um buying it without running it, because now you don't even know. Maybe they didn't winterize it. I don't think you've said where you're at yet, other than salt water. But if you're in a freezing temperature and they didn't winterize it properly, and now you've got a busted block, and now you've got a eight to ten, $12,000 repair on that 350 probably, that's in there. Yeah, it's a dangerous scenario, so proceed with caution is what I would tell you. Proceed with caution. So, all right. All right. I think I got that. Um, who did I say was going to be up next? And if you do, hey, listen, I do a lot of this because I enjoy it. But if you're gonna support my channel, like Jonathan and like Wolf End, I'm gonna move you up to the front of the line of the question. So you by no means have to give a financial contribution. I'll answer your question, but it can move you to the front of the line, and it is certainly appreciated. Just like buying any of my products, the trainings that I provide, it is very much appreciated, and helps me continue doing all this. All right, so Hux 2012, my boat should be in by the end of the month, so it's winter. How do I receive and store the new boat, being that it won't be till spring? Have the dealer store it. Yeah, Hux, tell me where you're located, because it will change. Um, it will change my recommendation. Yeah, Foxmouth, that's a really good point. Is don't only take their word for it. Like you said, it's hard to tell what's right and what's wrong if they don't have written documentation of who did it and when they did it. That's a great point. Okay, so you're in Minnesota. So right now, you said your boat was going to be coming in this month, end of the month. So you guys haven't froze over yet. So here's what I would do. Here's what I would ask the dealer to do is say, "Hey, Mr. Dealer," and I don't know if it's a inboard, if it is an IO or an outboard as well. Will change a little bit, but here's what I would say is, listen, when the boat arrives, here's what I would like to do is I would like to run it before I sign the paperwork and write the check. I would like to run the boat, check everything out, make sure it's all good. Jet. Okay, so it worked the same way. I want to do that, and then I would love for you to drain it, winterize it with on a jet boat is real easy. Is you crank it up, you rev it up a little bit, and you blow all the water out, and you're good to go. Look at the manual; they'll do it all the time. It's a pretty simple thing on the jet boats. And then what I would like to do is if you can just tuck it away for me, and I'll come pick it up in ice out. I'll come pick it up late April or something like that. That would be my recommendation, is because now you find out it's a boat built during COVID. Some of them have been having quality issues when they get to the or when they get to the dealer. So now you get a chance to find anything, and it's small, just small little things. Boats have always had them. New boats have always showed up, and dealers go through them and they fix the little things that they find that weren't done 100% right at the factory. It's when I sold boats in '09 to 2013, it was the same thing. Our service shop had a checklist. They looked at everything. as a salesperson, I ran every boat for about 20, 30 minutes to make sure everything was good. Told them, hey, we need to tighten this up. There was a little ding here, and we fixed it. So there's just a few more of them that dealers are seeing right now because they're churning boats out so fast, and there's some COVID distancing restrictions and whatever. So run the boat, talk to them before you do this, but say, hey, dealer, this is what I would like to do. I'd like to run the boat when it shows up. Everything checks out. Put the punch list together of things that need to be addressed. Hopefully, they've found some already in their pre-delivery inspection. And I'll do the paperwork. I'll write the check, do the financing, and then what I like to do is have you get it ready for winter, put the cover on, and tuck it away inside. They may or may not have inside storage, or outside, tuck it away somewhere on the dealership, and I will come and get it by, you know, May. Give them a time frame so they know, and they should be used to tucking boats away. It all depends on how much space they have. Um, you know, what what does their yard look like? What does their internal storage look like? They may ask you to pay a portion, but if they've got the room, it may be something that you can negotiate and get them to do. If you don't have a place to store the boat, that's something that you should start looking at now. Is if they say no because they've got too many boats, they don't have enough room, whatever, or they're going to charge you an amount that you're not comfortable with, then have a backup plan. But a lot of dealers will do that this time of year. Is they'll say, yeah, we'll tuck it away and you come get it in the spring. But it's contingent on them having the space. Yeah, Foxmouth, that's a great point too. All right, so what to do if I see a striped boat on a side of a road? It's like mine's, and I see some parts on it that might fit mine. Would I get in trouble from taking it? Uh, Gutted, tossed on the side of the road. I hear this is a Billabong. I hear this is a huge problem in Florida that people are just um, shoving their boats off the trailers and just leaving them on the side of the road in Florida. I don't have any idea. I assume it's illegal. Um, I assume that you can't take stuff off the boat on the side of the road. Um, with that said, is try to be part of the solution if that's an issue in your area. There's so many boats on the side of the road, and all these stripped boats are stripped, not striped. I need to learn how to read. Um, that hey, maybe you can get together with somebody, the local CTO or Boat US or a dealer or a marina, and say, hey, let's go and let's clean up some of these boats, put them in a boat graveyard somewhere. And now when you're part of that solution, now I say take all the crap off that boat that you want. Talk to law enforcement, talk to local authorities to find out, what you can and can't do, what liabilities you have and things like that. But in that case, I would be totally, for me, be like, hey, I did my part. Yeah, the bank, you're right. The bank probably does own those boats. So it was definitely check with the local authorities to find out. But yeah, that Mark, that's a great point. I didn't even think about it. If they have a lien on them, they're worthless for the most part if they're sitting on the road and they've already been stripped. But I would be cautious of doing it unless you are, like I said, part of the solution of cleaning them up, and then I would say, okay, maybe that opens up the opportunity for you to get what you need. So, all right, let me see. I'm going to scroll back up through here. This has been fun. We've had a lot of good questions despite my technical difficulties to start. All right, so we got Silver Stranger, we got Foxmoth, Ronnie, we got you, Dr. Donut Eater. Let's see. Heart set probably okay. We got Donut Eater, we got you, I think. Um, if there's more to that question, Jonathan, thank you again for the contribution. I appreciate it. Ronnie, we got you. You're very welcome, sir. Very welcome. Foxmouth, thanks for. I think this is the third live that you've been on. I appreciate you showing up and always participating. You always got some question to ask or something to throw into the conversation. I appreciate that. Hux, we just did you. Jonathan, live on Erie. Closest dealer is Virginia. Yeah, that's what's interesting is there's a lot more center console manufacturers that are picking up dealers in the Midwest. There is the center console market is really expanding into the freshwater, especially up on the Great Lakes. I know that they're becoming more and more popular, more and more common there. So you might want to go and I don't know if you can send an email to Sea Hunt support or call them and see if, hey, maybe there's a dealer that they're gonna be picking up the line, the Sea Hunt line, and you never know. You never know. So, Mark, hey, thank you, Mark, for your comments on the channel about the best boat captain on the water training. I certainly appreciate that. Okay. So Jonathan, you're 2020, so you still will have some transferable warranty on that. So, you know, I would talk to your local dealer in Spartanburg and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. You know, can you support me on the warranty and I'll use you for service and just try to feel them out. You never know what they might have. They might be more than willing to help you. You might get a bad vibe from them, but you never know till you talk to them. It takes several years to correct. Just order new SUV, months to be delivered. Microchips are scarce. Yeah, it's I just don't know. It was interesting at IBEX that you could hear the salespeople making their sales pitch of, oh yeah, we've got all the supply chain things worked out. And in my mind, I'm like, you can't. There's just too many things that are out of our control right now, including, if things shut down in other parts of the world are here, you just don't know. Again, thank you guys for your contributions. Very much appreciated. Billabong, Mark, reputable used boat parts dealer somewhere. It is your Foxmouth. I don't remember where you are, but sometimes you can find I call it a boat graveyard, but just a yard where they've got a ton of old boats. That's a place that you can sometimes find them. You'll usually will have to go pull it, find out who the manufacturer is, but windshields are tough. Um, and you said windscreen. So if it's a plastic windscreen, you might be able to find somebody that has one that would fit. May not be exactly right, but if it's an actual windshield, a glass windshield that's curved, you might have to go and find one of those salvage type yards where hopefully you can find what you're looking for. All right. Good evening from the Northwest, everyone. Pull my finger. Pull my finger. I'm getting ready to put my Regal away for winter. Yeah, it's a sad time. It's a sad time, Chad, trying to put those things up for the winter time. Billabong, you're welcome. Every time I get fuel, I put stabilizer in tank. Do you think these formulas prescribed? Yeah, I just it's measure it out as best you can, but if you're a little over, you're a little under, you're okay. It's not an exact science of knowing the exact amount of fuel, and as long as you're not doubling what you're supposed to be putting in, I think you're okay. But and especially as you head into the fall and winter down there in Texas, Mark, is you're still going to be out on your boat. I know you're just not going to be out as often or as long and running as much fuel. So keeping that stabilizer in there is a great idea. You're definitely doing the right thing, and you're okay with eyeballing it. and getting real close on that. Let's see. Oh, that was Mark. I like one of the smaller Regal cruisers. Aren't many around Lake Michigan that I can see. Um, yeah, the Gerbushel, um, the the cruiser market, those smaller pocket cruisers, under 28 feet, 30 feet, are they've really, really gone down in popularity in the last 15 years or so. So on something like even Sea Ray, which was the biggest in that for years, and probably still is, 26, 28, 30 footers, they made less than 50 of them a year, I bet, in the last 5 years. They're not super common, so you might have to expand your search if you're looking pre-owned. And if you're looking new, you might need to go down to in Orlando to the Regal facility. They've got a factory showroom if you want to board the boat, or this is what I recommend in the first time boat buyer academy is go ahead and um, the first time boat buyer academy, I say, hey, go and walk the docks at the local marinas, find a place that's got some cruisers, and you'll find somebody with a Regal, and if you maybe have a 12 pack of beer with you and a friendly smile, most people will talk to you about it. A lot of people will let you board their boat and check it out, and it's something that it works really, really well. And like I said, a 12 pack and a friendly smile will get you a long way on the docks, because most boaters are super friendly and love to show off their boats. Dr. Donut Eater, just looking at a used boat, 19, two owners already. No, I'm not super concerned with two owners. What I would do, Dr. Donut Eater, is I would get a boat history report, and I would see the one red flag that it does raise is, did somebody buy the boat and they're flipping it? And then I would want to just ask the question of, because it will show you the ownership history and the registration history. And what would be a red flag for me is, this boat came out of Florida, and now somebody bought it, and then they registered it in Michigan, or they registered it somewhere else, and during that time there was a hurricane. I just talked to a buddy last night at a party that was used to run 40-foot sailboats out of Southport Marina in Wilmington, North Carolina. Southport, I think that's what it's. Yeah, we'll call it Southport, but there a big Category 2 hurricane came, not even a big storm, and washed all their docks away. 200 boats that got dinged up, and some of them submerged. And that, what people will do is they'll come in, they'll buy that boat, whether it's salvaged or not, and clean it up a little bit, put some lipstick on a pig, and then move it to a part of the country where there's no hurricanes, and then they'll sell it as a perfectly fine boat. So that would be the only thing that would be, hey, a red flag. But it's not uncommon for somebody to own a boat for a year or two and then sell it. Just ask the question of why, and invest that $50 into a boat history report to see if there's any funny business that is going along. Silver Stranger, thank you very much. I appreciate it. New versus used for first time boat buyer, asking for my friend. I prefer used for a lot of people. Now, there's some exceptions to that, and that is, I am a guy that I've got the financial resources, and I don't want to do anything. So I want a dealer, and I want to call my dealer up and say, hey, Mr. Dealer, I've got this going on with my boat. Come fix it. And that warranty is paramount. Now, why I like used in a lot of cases is, one, I can get into a boat, and if I didn't get the exact right thing, I can get out pretty quickly. Again, this time of year or this time of year, the market right now, because of the supply and demand issues, not as big a deal. The guy with the Bayliner trophy, he couldn't get into shallow enough water. yeah, you can probably sell it and come out pretty good right now. That wasn't the case 5 years ago. It certainly won't be the case probably 5 years from now, but right now you can get away with that. But I like used also because you're gonna ding it up. Even with my even with my, my training program, you're gonna get into a situation where the wind's gonna pick up and you're gonna put a dent or a ding in your boat probably. And, so I really like used. With that said, I also buy used vehicles. I am a value person, and what I mean by that is, I've got a truck that's paid for, that's got 100,000 miles on it, and I could go buy a new truck, but it does what I need it to do. I work from a home office. I don't drive that much. And it's no reason to spend that extra money. That's sort of my mentality. So I might be a little bit of biased of it. But because you can get in, and get out quick without taking too big of a financial hit in normal times, um, you know, people are making money right now in those scenarios, but and it also gives you the opportunity to learn on it and not be so nervous. If there's somebody that they love the idea of having a set amount for their boating budget. And by that, you've got your monthly payment, you've got your storage, you've got your maintenance, and you got your gas and your insurance. Versus, I need to set some money aside for repairs, which will come with a used boat. And Silver Stranger, tell your friend to go watch the new versus used video. Should you buy new versus used? And I go through the pluses and minuses, but a lot of times I fall in the used camp. Maybe because that's my personal preference. I bought my wife a new car. We bought a new Honda Odyssey minivan because for my wife is she's the I want it to start every time. I don't want to have an issue. I want it to be warranty. I don't want anything to go wrong when I'm out on the road with my girls, and maybe she's driving on a road trip up to see her family in West Virginia. So for her, we bought new because that made more sense. But I tend to lean used. So spread the word, everyone, and get them to subscribe. Absolutely. Foxbot, thank you. Share these videos in any of your boating groups or anywhere. I appreciate that. Okay, so what do we got here? Silver Stranger, I hope that answered your question. And again, thank you for the contribution. I very, very much appreciate it. Outboards, no. 7 Marine is done. Yamaha or Mercury came out with their 600s. So big outboard market, that big outboard market that they kind of opened up is now, it's not going to be long before Yamaha brings out something in the 500, 600 plus range. I don't know when, but yeah, and then 7 being acquired, it's just, yeah, I don't see any scenario where they make a comeback. Looking at the Sun Tracker fish, is it worth the 600 for underskinning? For the love of the shave, what horsepower are you going to put on it? That's the determining factor. For me, anything under 75 horse, I'm okay without the skin. Anything 90 and above, I'm going to put the skin on it. Because here's what happens is you've got your ply. Let me stop sharing this. All right, so you've got your plywood 90. Yeah, get the skin. You're going to be happier because of it. So you've got the bottom of your boat here, and then you've got your cross members here. What happens is you've got the water coming in, splashing off those 2 pontoons, and it splashes up and in. As you hit a wave, that it's going to hit that cross member, and it's going to chug your boat along. And every time you hit a wave, it's going to jerk that boat. And with the reason I asked the horsepower is because a 75, you're going to be running, let's say you got 5, 6 people on the boat, you're going to be running 15 miles an hour. That chug is going to be minimal. As you get up to the 90, you're going to be running 20 plus, maybe 22, and now that chug starts to get uncomfortable, and you're going to be happier, and it's better for the boat, and it's going to make it a more comfortable ride. So that's sort of my 50, 60. That's fine. You don't need it. 75, yeah, you're probably okay, but 90, 115, absolutely. You absolutely want it. All right. Well, we are coming up on 10 minutes to 10 here. Um, and I appreciate everybody coming. If there's any last questions, I'll be happy to stay on till 10 because we had those technical difficulties, and I guess I had to restart my router. You're very welcome. For the love of the shave, I recognize those comments. I know you've commented on several videos. I will always, well, I'll continue to do the best I can to respond to comments. It was real easy when the channel first started a couple years ago. With we get about I think 260,000 views in the last 28 days. And it gets harder and harder to respond to every comment, but I do my best. I try to spend, an hour a day going through comments, and when I miss a couple of days, they start piling up. But I love the interaction. I love the conversations, and guys like Foxmoth and Mark, and well, for the love of the shave, seeing the same names pop up over and over, and then hearing, I was going to try to show it this afternoon, but I get emails from people. I just got one the other day. We just bought our boat. I bought your program. The the first time boater program, the first time boat buyers academy, and he said, "Hey, I used your really low pressure, easy to use question." And he said, I saved $1,500 in today's market. Um, I wasn't really expecting anything at a discount, but I saved $1,500, and the guy was totally thrown off. And I could tell he gave me more of a discount than he wanted to because of the question I asked. So I love to get that and see pictures of people on their boats with their family enjoying it. All right, Donator, I know you've said buy the motor that can be serviced near you, familiar with, but there any that you would steer clear of? Um, yeah, for Donator, let me go back up. Okay, so you were looking, in the last 10 years. I really don't think so. There's no motors in the last 10 years that I would say run from, especially new. Eh, Man, it just they are the manufacturing and the tolerances that they build within today are so precise. They dial them in so well. They've been for the most part building the same engines for a number of years. I do have my kind of overarching philosophy, and again, this is my personal preferences. I'm a laggard when it comes to new technology. So those new Mercury 600s, they were down at IBEX. I didn't get a chance to run one. I wasn't able to coordinate my schedule to get on that boat when it was going out, but I I wouldn't buy the first generation of any new technology in the boating world. So new motors, new models of a boat. I'm going to wait until the second year that they do something, because there's there's just too many things that can't be tested before you go live. That in the real boating world, where the boat's sitting and only being used once a week or once a month or whatever, and sitting through a winter, there's things that will come out that the manufacturers will then fix. So that would be my only thing, that I wouldn't buy a first generation of anything. But other than that, no, don't either. They're all really, really, really well built now, especially if you're looking in the last 2, 3, 4 years, based on your comment of a 2019 Sea Hunt that you were looking at. Chad, replace my trailer boards this year. Pressure treated 2x6, or is there a special marine wood? Um, yes, you're okay. You're okay with the pressure treated. Chad, what kind of boat do you have? Um, because I'm going to make a recommendation either way, but it's more important on a pontoon is the pressure treated wood has some, essentially what they do is they soak it in some chemicals, right? To give it that extra resistance to the elements, rot and whatnot. Well, that chemical that they use reacts poorly with aluminum, from what I understand. So if you're using it on a pontoon, what you want to do is you want to get those plastic runners. They're sized to a pontoon, and they just slip right over them. You you staple it or screw it in on the sides, and it's set. They kind of cap the thing, so it's okay. It's on a bow rider. It's it's not as necessary on a bow rider, but I would still do it because there's the chemicals. It also protects it if there's something going on. It's easier to slide on and off that plastic, and I would probably put it on either way. I don't think it's super expensive. It's been a while since I've looked at it and priced it, but I would put that covering on. Let me see if I can find it here. Trailer bunk covers. Yeah, so 163 for whatever length that is. Something like that, and I just Googled this, so I don't know if it's the best one or whatever, but they sell it at West Marine. You can usually pick them up there or get them online, Amazon or whatever. But I would put those on. I would put those on for sure. All right. We are coming up on 4 minutes to 10. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Silver Stranger. Thank you, Jonathan McHenry, and thank you, Wolfend, um, very much. I appreciate you guys making a contribution and supporting the channel. If you guys, anybody is, oh, there we go. I didn't have the right one up. If anybody is wants a little bit more support, and the First Time Boat Buyer Academy it's an awesome program that I go through, and I put together 7 steps, kind of the 7 steps that I went through with clients, helping them buy the right boat when I was in sales. And I also, the step number 5 is negotiations. It's the one I got the email from the guy that bought the used boat, and he saved $1,500. He this $47, and it's an awesome program. You can get that at boatbuyerSecretWeapon.com/academy, I think is what it is. And you can check that out there. And I've got a money back guarantee on all my stuff. Just if you don't like it, if you're like, this is crap, or whatever reason, I don't care. If you're going to take advantage of me, I don't care. I feel it's the right way to do it with things like this. I'm totally confident in the stuff I put out. So the best boat captain on the water, it's again $47 for that, and you get that at boatbuyerSecretWeapon.com/captain. And yeah, yeah, Mark, we'll get it scheduled. We'll get it scheduled at some point. Okay, Billabong, good. That glad that helped. We got 2 more minutes. A Rinker cruiser's worth buying still. They haven't built for a while. But Rinker build a good solid boat. If they're popular, I know there are some areas of the country that um, they are super popular, and there's a bunch of them around, and the brand still carries a good reputation. I wouldn't have an issue buying a used Rinker, at the right price if it was well taken care of, and they're common in my area. What I start to get nervous about is buying a brand that's out of business and not common in my area. Then I start to get a little bit worried. Just know that as little things break, little things need to be repaired, that some of the stuff down in the cabin, you may have a harder time finding the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer's stuff. And you might have to go directly to the supplier, which may or may not be in business, but it's probably got a Mercruiser in it. There's probably a Mercruiser mechanic, Mercruiser techs in your area. All those parts are fully available. It probably has, a stereo system that can be retrofitted to something new. It's the stuff down in the cabin and some of the finishing and cosmetic pieces that if it breaks, if you have an issue with it, you may have to get a little bit creative in fixing it, but I wouldn't have an issue at all. So, all right, with that, I'm going to give one last minute here for anything to pop in. And again, thank you guys very much. Hopefully, we won't have the technical difficulties next week, but and I moved everything. I moved this to 8:30, so I can get my girls their stories. Oh, that's the 8 o'clock one. I moved it to 8:30 so that I can get my girls' bedtime stories read and get them down, and then come and join you guys on this. Thanks a lot. We will talk to you next week. Remember, life truly is better on a boat. Take care, everybody.